Season 3 of Squid Game is finally out, and like any level-headed adult, I stopped everything I was doing to binge the whole season. And to be honest, it was a little bit of a mixed bag for me. The visuals and cinematography of the show have stayed super strong throughout all 3 seasons, but I think the pacing really suffered as Season 3 went on, and by the end, a lot of character arcs seemed unfinished. Not to mention how cringy the VIPs were literally anytime they had dialogue on camera. Maybe it's a dub thing, I don't really know, but boy was it hard to get through. All the negative criticism aside, the music of the show stayed super strong until the very end. The soundscape of Squid Game does such a good job of putting you as an audience member into the mind of Gi-yoon and all the other characters around him, and really makes you feel and empathize with what they're going through. I think the music saves more than a few scenes in Season 3 from being boring or cliched. Original compositions by Jung Jae Il can be really vibrant and fun to listen to, even outside the show. I have the soundtrack for Season 3 playing as I was writing this section of the script. The show also makes great use of classical music from Mozart to Haydn to add to the atmosphere. I think what I like most about the music is that a lot of the pieces are unconventional in the sense that outside of the context of the show, I don't know if they would be considered good. That's not to say the music is bad. On the contrary, I think it's a testament to the creativity behind the team that these songs are able to create such a unique atmosphere for the listener. Season 1 of Squid Game was released in 2021 and was met with praise by critics and audiences alike. It was a really fresh, novel concept at the time. You compete in children's games to win money, but if you lose, you die. While the show does a great job of keeping the tension high throughout each episode, making you care about each character and how their stories fit within the larger narrative, the premise alone is a little peculiar, maybe even laughable. But when you see it play out in the games, you realize how unsettling it is. The score for Squid Game is the same way. Jung Jae Il graduated from the Seoul Jazz Academy and is regarded as a very talented multi-instrumentalist, able to play the piano, guitar, bass, and drums all at really advanced levels. He's also had a pretty notable career outside of Squid Game. He's probably most known for making the soundtrack for the 2019 film Parasite, which went on to win the Oscar for Best Picture that year. What makes Jung Jae Il's music so cool is that he's not afraid to experiment with textures or ideas that sound gritty or harsh or may not even sound good on purpose. He's also been known to experiment with niche instruments to get specific textures that he's looking for. In Parasite, one of the tracks features him playing the musical Saw, which I've made a video about. You should definitely go check that out. One of the most famous tracks found throughout Squid Game, way back then, features a solo recorder and percussion for a good chunk of the beginning of the song. And the recorder sounds like a cheap plastic recorder that you would find students using in grade school. I've made a video about that too. It's not a nice professional recorder, even though he definitely had access to one if he wanted it. And because of that, the sound, no matter how well it's played, is grating. It sounds like a 5th grader practicing the recorder. And that's cool. And intentional. Think about it, the whole show revolves around playing childhood games with a menacing twist. With that context, the grating sound of the recorder gets the audience on edge the same way the players in the show feel on edge when they have to compete in these games. The music is crafted specifically to aid in the storytelling. Not to mention the recorder itself is eliciting sounds of younger musicians when we're surrounding ourselves with these childhood games and memories. But not all the tracks are like this. During any intimate or serious moments in the show, where they want to focus on characters' emotions or connections with each other, these really sparse, beautiful piano pieces can be heard, which again aid in the storytelling. These pieces are also pretty simple, keeping up with the childlike mentality throughout the show. Pieces like Myung-gi from Season 3 is more or less just a melody on the piano drenched in reverb. Other pieces remind me of Hayao Miyazaki's music, with wide intervals on the piano and sparse melody notes throughout. Some of my favorite of these pieces are Daughter and Birth and Death. It's crazy how so little actual musical material can so effectively convey the complex emotions of the show. And the inclusion of various classical pieces adds a whole other level of sophistication to the score. While the original compositions are generally sparse and minimal, pieces by Haydn, Strauss, and Vivaldi are bombastic in comparison, but also carry their own meanings into the world of the show. For example, Strauss's The Beautiful Blue Danube, according to this classical FM article, which I've been pulling from throughout this video, I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out, had been commissioned for the Vienna Men's Choral Society in 1866 to lift the spirits of the public after the Prussian victory of the Austrian-Prussian War. In Squid Game, the same piece is played before and after each game that is played, possibly as a way to lift the players' spirits throughout their 6 days on the island. There are a ton of well-known pieces that are are expertly picked and placed throughout the show that give little nuances and meanings to scenes and ideas in the show. One of my favorite examples is the aria Nessun Dorma from the opera Turandot, playing at the beginning of season 2 during a life and death game of rock, paper, scissors -1. It's probably one of the most overdone and dramatic arias in all of opera. And the creators of the show definitely knew that when they placed it in this scene. It's really over the top with the character reactions and the music, and they do some slow-mo, and it's funny until it's not. The scene gets serious enough that it holds its own, and now the music takes on a new meaning, which is really exciting. It goes from a joke to actually working while still being funny. And the huge bombastic effect of these pieces also goes back to that childlike feeling they're trying to elicit throughout the score. With everyone's lives on the line and the stakes constantly being raised to unimaginable levels, emotions are constantly heightened. When characters are angry, they're threatening to kill you in your sleep. And when characters are sad, they are pleading on the floor begging for the madness to stop. The sporadic dichotomy of soft, intimate piano pieces, brash children's music, and grandiose orchestral drama all mixed together to create a really unique soundscape for a pretty unique show. Thanks so much for watching. What's your favorite scene or piece from Squid Game? I'd love to know in the comments. Are there any tidbits or musical facts that I didn't mention in this video? I'd love to hear about them as well. The music you've been listening to throughout this video is original music composed by me, inspired by the score of Squid Game. If you'd like to listen to this music or use it in your own videos, let me know and I might release it somewhere. If you liked this video and found any value in it, I would really appreciate you interacting with it. It's free and really helps the channel grow. I've got a lot of goals for this channel, and the main one is connecting with more people through gaining subscribers and answering comments and just building an actual community. Subscribe for more music analysis videos and ring the bell to never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next one.